Just walk away. Just walk away, and there will be an end to the horror.
All right, everybody, we're live. MGTOW Chats, episode number 59. Is the future female? We'll see. Breaking down Vaknin Part 2. Mekong Farong says, not sure I can listen to this Vaknin guy again. Well, you never know, buddy. But we're back. I'm going back to the old OSB software. The last video that we did in the middle of the week, I was experimenting, had some problems, so I'm going to have to try to come back to that later. Maybe try it again next stream, but not this one. What we're going to do now is we're going to try the Discord connection and see if this works with the old stream. See how it goes. I'm not a fucking computer wizard, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, Lamprey, how are you doing tonight?
Very good. Glad to be back on, as always. We're going to be doing Sam Vaknin, the Part 2. For those who missed the previous live stream, Sam Vaknin is he's a university professor and intellectual who resides in Macedonia. I highly recommend for those that enjoy MGTOW content to check out his channel. It's very good. He devolves into personality disorders, mostly narcissism, psychopathy. He does a lot of economics, other topics. He considers himself a Renaissance man, where he knows a little about a lot, and mostly what he knows the most about is, again, personality disorders. He has a book called Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited, an absolute must in your MGTOW arsenal as far as reading goes.
No, that's a good description of him. And we talked a little bit more about his origins in the last video, so you can go back and look at that. But we will get into basically what he's been saying, and the reason why we're doing this for the most part is because MGTOW has come up in his talks and in his comments. So we want to bring it up again. We want to go ahead through the second part of what he said before. And you still there?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to try and go through it again. And I will have to do it the same way I did it last time because I'm using the old software. I'm going to have to share the screen and we'll watch the video from the beginning. The only problem is, Lamprey, and this is something we didn't anticipate, is that I'm going to have to share the screen with you.
That's not a problem. I've watched it a few times already, so I know what he's going to say and everything. And we'll pause it. I gave you the markers to pause it at, and we'll, discuss what you mentioned. Sam is getting more into the MGTOW type content. He's starting to speak more about the, the cultural problems that are plaguing the West, which I think is fantastic. And maybe this is his way of, expanding his sphere of influence in his content. So we'll discuss it. Hopefully, the commenters will, drop some of their thoughts on things, and let's get it done, man.
Well, look, I already shared the screen with you on Discord. Can you see it?
No, I didn't look.
Take a look. I'm sharing the screen.
Very nice.
Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Now, hopefully you can hear it. All right, so we're going to go here with the second part of Sam Vaknin. Share the screen. Here it is.
The last 3 times I went for help with injuries to a hospital, I was seen by female doctors. The last 3 times, in different countries, all specialists. One was a cardiologist, one was a brain specialist, the other was,
Yes,
all,
more than
all
50% of
and
women.
young women.
More than 50% of women. In law, it's even higher. These are critical professions. These are key point professions.
Yeah.
I mean, they control the junctures of society. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
So these guys, they sound insane.
The
but
red
they're not.
pill, the MGTOW.
The red pillars and so on.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Right.
The prognosis is absolutely right.
Okay.
But the cause is hopeless.
They're
The
doomed.
cause hopeless, utterly. It's hopeless. And what's the tactic? To withdraw, to disengage. Who gives a fuck? I mean, don't fuck.
Yeah.
Go in my own way. Go your own way. What?
It seems a strange conclusion to come to. They've said there's the problem, and as you say, they've diagnosed the problem, so now I just won't engage. I mean,
Men going their own way. Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Go your own way. Who cares? So, it's hopeless.
right.
It's hopeless because the fundamentals have changed already. That's it. You can't go back. There has been a transfer of wealth. Aggregately in some countries, not all, but for example, all of Scandinavia, women as a group are richer than men.
Are they?
Yes, there has been a transfer of wealth. 1. 2, we have moved to what Toffler called the third wave and so on. We have moved to a society based on intelligence. And so today the main commodity is not minerals, which requires muscles, not wheat, which requires muscles. No, main commodity today is information. It's an information society, intelligence, and so on. So we have moved already. We have moved to a networked world. Well, the amount of connections and the ability to leverage these connections, make good use of them, is absolutely the key to your success. As I can see for myself, I'm very bad at that.
Right.
So, and these are all women domains.
Yeah.
Everything I've just mentioned, women are superior in all of this. It's too late. It's finished. Patriarchy is dead.
So I'm stopping it there because that's when you told me to stop it in the notes you gave me.
Okay.
Now,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Hello? Did I lose you? Well, I lost him again, gentlemen.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I can't speak when the video's playing.
Video's not playing anymore.
Yeah, that's why I hear you now. So I understand how it works with Discord.
All right. So basically, did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said?
Yes.
Okay, you keep dropping out on me.
I'm here.
All right, so I'm going to bring up a couple points after the first message here. Contrarian expatriate says, Vaknin assumes that a female future will not be subverted by cataclysmic civil war or Islamic insurgent. This is his mistake because a female future will be a fragile one. I agree with you, contrarian expatriate. I absolutely agree with you. Now, I made a few notes on what he did say. And when it started off, he said, basically, hey, Rico, can you hear us? Everything's okay? You guys saw the video? Everything's good? Hopefully.
Yeah, the video played good. I just can't see it on Discord or hear you when it's playing on Discord, but I hear it on the stream.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
All right.
The first thing he said that they kind of brought it up when they first started the conversation, Vaknin says there's more women in medicine, and therefore women are smarter. That's what I got from that tidbit in the beginning. There's more women in medicine, therefore women are smarter, because he is going about intelligence. He goes into men going in their own way and laughs about it. But his main concept is that the new commodity is intelligence. And because there's more women in medicine, more women are intelligent, and therefore they are part of the new commodity. I think.
And MGTOW is pathetic and hopeless.
Yeah, and then on the side note, he said he laughed at MGTOW. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this. But first of all, more women in medicine. Now, of course, this is typical Vaknin stuff. He makes a claim, but he never has to support it. Not in these interviews. He never has to support that claim. But I would not disagree with him when he says there's more women in medicine. That's not untrue. But you have to ask the question, compared to when? There was more men in the past, now there's more women now. What does that mean? Does that mean women are getting smarter? Or when it comes to medicine and when it comes to an education that leads you to a degree that allows you to practice medicine, is the education system now better suited to push women through regardless of their intelligence, in quotes? I mean, really, that's what it comes down to.
All right. Well, let's get into that. Then we'll get into the MGTOW pathetic part. All right. So there's more women obviously taking up higher positions in businesses. There's more women doctors, airline pilots. We know this already. We've discussed this, and I think that's great. I'm not knocking on women getting an education. I think that's phenomenal. You got to have people that are intelligent to function in a civilization, but the problem is if women are going to become CEOs, doctors, and what have you, when they're training to do these things, when they're learning to be a doctor, when they're learning to be airline pilots, they're doing it in their years where they're at their sexual prime.
Yes.
Right? And eventually what happens is that these women get to be older and they want to settle down. They want to have families. But by then, it's too late. Okay, and they wind up freezing their eggs in a vat somewhere in downtown Manhattan.
Or they leave their jobs.
Or they leave their jobs looking for a man that's making a higher salary than them.
Or they just go have a family.
Have children.
Yeah, or to have a family.
Or have a family. Right. But unfortunately, for the overwhelming majority of these women who do this, it's cut right in. Half of them are not going to be able to find right.
I'm losing you, man.
Yeah, lost you there too. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me restate what I said. Is that when women decide to have a family, when to get married, and do all these things in their 30s, the overriding majority of them, it's too late for them.
I lost you again.
I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I missed that last part of the comment there.
Okay. Well, what did I say? Can you hear me now? Testing 1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, women are taking up these positions Okay, and by the time they want to procreate and have a family and settle down, it's too late for more than half of them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You want to build upon that for me?
Yeah, I will, but you know what, man? I think we're gonna have to get rid of the Discord and go back to Skype. Because I keep hearing you cut out, and then I can't respond to what you're saying.
1, 2.
Yeah, you're there now.
I'm here.
I know, I can hear you. I'm going to open my Skype and we're going to come in with Skype. Give us a few minutes here, guys. Again, I'm experimenting with this stuff, and if it doesn't work for me, then it doesn't work for the stream.
Well, I'm here. I hear you fine.
Okay, good.
Can everyone hear us?
Yeah, they can hear us. I'm pretty sure they can.
Okay, so what did I say? Let me repeat myself again. If women are taking up higher positions in business, in government, I mean, there's more female politicians, as we know, during this last run for the Senate and House of Representatives. Women are now using their best years to find a mate to procreate, years to attend college, to advance their careers. By the time they want to have a family, to settle down, to get the house with the white picket fence and the one dog, it's too late for the overriding majority of them in the West.
Yes. And
right.
What I was going to add on to that is that Vaknin is basically saying, and again, this is all he said in that small comment, was the fact that more women are doctors, therefore women are more intelligent. Now, we all, like you said, we understand that there's more women doctors now. There's more women pilots. There's more women this. There's more women that. But we can't just say because there's more women, that means that this is a benefit and a progress to society in any of these functions. And we've talked about it in our videos when we talk about chicks in cockpits. When women build bridges, they fell down. When women went into submarines, they disappeared. So we have to ask the question, why are there more women in these positions? Is it because we're suddenly just naturally and spontaneously more accepting of them? Is it because the patriarchy is dying? Because that's the argument. Oh, more women, patriarchy dying. That's the argument. But when we see the outcome of it, that's not really what's happening.
The patriarchy is not dying, the society's dying, because it takes 20 years for a society to completely collapse demographically, and we're seeing it now in Western Europe, and in Eastern Europe for that matter, and in North America. More importantly, again, white countries, as quote unquote we'll call them white countries, but it's also happening in South America, and it's slowly spreading globally. Let's take Southeast Asia, for example. The overwhelming majority of my students in university were women. Okay, they were between ages of 18 and 25. Okay, mm-hmm. They excelled more than the men. Most of the guys would drop out, miss class, so on and so forth, fail. Okay, but those women that I taught knew that, okay, I got my degree, now it's time for me to have a family, and then later on in life, I'll go ahead and get a job. Let me have a family first. Mm-hmm. Let the kids get a little bit older, to the point where they're not dependent on me no more, the mother, and then I'll go back into the job force. In the West, it's somewhat reversed. Women are now goal-oriented, career-oriented, and by the time they decide to want to settle down, it's too late. And I think Sam misses that part in that statement he made.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another thing he's missing in that statement. And I think one of the biggest things he's missing is the fact that he's not understanding. He's seeing a correlation, but he's not trying to understand the causality. More women in these fields doesn't mean that there's some kind of balance being created between some sort of sexist past.
Or it's better.
Or it's better, absolutely. What's really happening, and I believe this is absolutely true, even based on what Warren Farrell has done in his studies, and all of the literature he's written, and all of his studies as being an ex-feminist, is that the structure of society, when it comes to education, is being engineered, politically engineered, to allow women to succeed where men have already been succeeding on a level playing field. In the past, it was even. And women, because of their biology, and because their biology for the fact that they give birth, and they spend 9 months pregnant, and they go through labor, and they have all those biological factors pinned against them.
And they're raising the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're raising the kids. All of that. But you have to understand that the feminists will say, well, you just have to eliminate that patriarchal concept of women raising kids. Make men do it, and it'll all change. But that...
No, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't fucking work that way. I mean, but let's get outside of that. Outside of the raising kids, it's the fact that they're in maternity for 9 months, number one. Not just that, but women are attracted to different professions than men. They always have been. They always will be. It's biology.
They rather be nurses than doctors. They rather be flight attendants than be the actual pilot. They rather be the person that takes a ticket on the train than the person driving the train. They rather be the paralegal than be the actual attorney. These are known facts, and they rather be in those roles and have men do shit for them.
And one of the main reasons they'd rather be in those roles is because they're, number one, less physically demanding, and number two, it doesn't interfere with their maternity, which is biology. Okay? Those two factors alone make up a huge reason why women choose different professions. Now imagine if...
Let's discuss paralegal, for example. Paralegal is like an administrative role. They're helping the attorneys move along. She can be 9 months pregnant and still do her job. She can still sit at the desk, take phone calls, work the computer, and do all those type of things. She's not going to go to the courthouse, which is 90 miles away, 9 months pregnant. Yeah. Is she?
Absolutely.
Right? There's different factors that are involved here, and when you start saying that she's now the attorney, that she's the professional lawyer, okay, well now you're taking the biology out of this factor, and she's unable to obviously have children because now she has to drive 90 miles away. Now she has to be a police officer. She's no longer the dispatcher, or again, all the things we just mentioned.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you were married and your wife was pregnant, who would you personally rather be your family doctor at that point? A male or a female?
Probably a female.
Why would you prefer a female?
Because a female doctor knows what it's probably like to be pregnant, and she has ovaries and shit,
Okay, well, I was in that situation. And you know what happened to my female doctor?
She butchered your wife?
She didn't show up.
Oh, there you go.
She didn't show up, man. I mean, I don't give a fuck if you know what it's like to give birth. Are you going to be there? Are you going to be there to
reliability? The reliability instead of flaking out because your boyfriend OD'd on heroin somewhere.
Or because of some kind of maternity leave, or you don't have the endurance to actually be there all the fucking time. I'll tell you this. Again, this is a personal story that I can relate to what we're talking about. When my wife was pregnant, she was assigned a female doctor. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. And we went through with it. And again, this is in Indonesia. Female doctor in Indonesia. And almost all of the communication between my wife and the doctor happened between them. I was shut out completely. Okay? But when I got the call that my wife was in labor, so she's in the hospital, she's already in the hospital, and I knew that, and I was working at the time when she went into labor. I left work, took a taxi down to the hospital, got there, and when I got there, the doctor wasn't there. She wasn't there at all. This doctor that had communication between her and my wife for months and months, she wasn't there. So I couldn't communicate with the person who knew the most about my wife's condition. I couldn't do it. She wasn't fucking there when she was in labor. So when I kind of talked to the nurses, and they were all female, all the nurses were female, 100%. Where's the doctor? Oh, well, she can't be here today. I'm like, yeah, but my wife's in labor. And
the doctor obviously knew where what the trimester your wife was in.
Yes. And she wasn't there. And she didn't want to be there. And I don't know 100% why. I don't know why. All I know is that it was a female doctor. She couldn't be there. And I had these nurses, these female nurses, completely swarm me and tell me, your wife needs to get a C-section. And I said, no, she doesn't. They said, no, yes, she does. She needs to get a C-section. In other words, they have to do a invasive operation to give birth to my child. Like savagely cut open my wife's stomach so my son can come out. And I said, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. And they argued and argued. I argued for hours with her while my wife was in labor. And I said, why do you think she needs to have a C-section? Well, she's been in labor for like 10 to 11 hours. And I said, and of course, as a man, I did my research. You know, I spent hours and hours researching pregnancy and normal pregnancies and pregnancies in Asia compared to pregnancies in the West. That's what I did. I did my due diligence. That's what I did. So when I came face to face with these nurses, I knew what I was talking about. And they said, no, she needs to get a C-section. I said, no, she doesn't. Their excuse was, oh, but she's been in labor for 11 hours. I said, 11 hours is less than the average time. 12 hours is the regular time for labor. Why are you forcing us to do this? Well, it turns out that doing a C-section is convenient for the doctor, especially a woman.
Correct.
Especially a
Yes.
woman doctor. And it's more money for the patient. So they were trying to con me into a horrible operation for my wife for my child to be born. And I refused. I fought them for 2 hours. I fought them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to sign a piece of paper to her doctor, who wasn't even fucking there, and say, I agree that you will allow her to have a natural birth.
Making you liable.
Yeah, making me liable for a natural birth. And if they had slit her stomach open and pulled the baby out through the stomach and something went wrong, they wouldn't be liable.
Right.
Right?
Oops.
Just this invasive operation kind of bullshit. I argued for hours to make a natural birth happen, and it did, and it went fine. It was absolutely fine. I finally found a nurse that would come in and actually let the process happen naturally. Now this is in Southeast Asia. This is in the so-called third world. But their medical system is completely taken over by the United Nations. 100%. My son was born fine. My wife went through the procedure fine. She recovered fine. And when I walked through the room where they kept all the waiting mothers with their children, my wife was the only one that was in shape to hold her child after birth. I walked past a dozen women who were comatose with fucking staples in their stomachs. It was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
Well, it's nothing new to Southeast Asia. I mean, the medical system is obviously atrocious. I mean, we could spend hours on that topic, but I understand where you're coming from. The reliability of a female doctor, is no bueno. It's no good. I
That's the
completely
point.
agree with you. Again, it goes back to women just not being reliable and needed when it's most necessary.
No.
Even when I just watched the horrible video of some old man just started stabbing these two young guys in a medical clinic in Russia, and there's the female receptionist behind the desk. While this was going on, all she did was hide. She didn't intervene. She didn't call 911. She didn't call the police. All she did was just cower in fright. When if there was a guy behind that counter, he would have called 911. He would intervene, stop that old man from stabbing these two young men to death. And the two men died. The guy who did the stabbing got away, and she lived. Right? I mean, there you go.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Look, there's no women lining up to be sewer workers. There's no women lining up to take out the trash.
Nor is there women to stand in the way of something like that would happen. There's no defiant young girl, standing there to
take a bullet.
No female hero. There's no female hero. There'll never be a woman that will win the Medal of Honor unless the far left invades that part of the military. It's never going to happen.
Well, and this is why Vaknin is completely wrong when he makes the assumption that, because there's more women doctors now, that means women are smarter. Oh yeah, they must be smarter.
No, it just means more women are getting educated. Whoopee-doo. Yes, on the bell curve, women are more intelligent, but they're less likely to engage in critical thought, critical thinking. Okay, then we can bring into the whole capitalistic system involved in this, and you're gonna people that are pro-capitalist and free market to get butthurt by this comment. But women are less likely to unionize. They're not going to stand up to a psychopathic CEO who's cutting health insurance for thousands of employees. These things are not going to happen.
But let's not forget that the post-secondary education system now, not just the post-secondary, I'm talking K through 12, and I've been a teacher and I know this. It is geared for the female mind.
Right. Where are the trade schools? Trade schools are dead in North
Absolutely.
America. I can't. They're very corrupt. The ones here in New York are very corrupt. Okay, they have some retiree that's teaching for $20 an hour how to fix a car engine in a controlled environment. I mean, I went through this. I went to a trade school. It was an absolute joke. But if you want to sit there and learn about sociology and how African Americans are oppressed, you're gonna get 100 in that. Of course, your paper's gonna fly. You're gonna pass with flying colors. We know this.
There are scholarships for women only. There are seats for women only in post-secondary education. Education itself is gynocentric and set up for the female mind as it is today. And this is something that Vaknin never tries to even discuss. He never would. So let's just go there and then move on to the next point in the video. But before we do, I want to look at a comment Mekong Farang said. I hired a Nigerian wizard online to take me back in time before I met my wife and lost all my money, and he never showed up too. Well, if that's true, man, you should go on to Molyneux's show. That's what you got to do.
So, okay, let's get into the MGTOW being pathetic. Now, in a lot of ways, I agree with him. I'm more of a, I'm a Yankee fan. Okay, I'm a Yankee fan. What a Yankee fan? What's a New York Yankee? Yankee wins. Doesn't play to lose. It's World Series or nothing. It's World Series or bust. Okay. Now the problem with that, my issue with MGTOW is that it's not active. It's not engaging in anything. But the flip side to that is, what are you supposed to do? Which is the part that I agree with MGTOW. So do I say MGTOW is pathetic? No, I think that's a wrong way of going about it. Do you want us to be men's rights activists? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Sorry, the old man, the 94-year-old's yelling. Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
He knows that there's someone outside, but he doesn't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. The MGTOW being pathetic. What is MGTOW trying to do in hindsight? MGTOW is trying to do that. Look, we're not going to engage in any of this gynocentric bullshit. We're not engaging in any of this breast cancer awareness. We're not going to engage in the societal collapse. We're not going to give into female nature, which is completely run amok. I mean, they want to have they want to be men, but not take on the responsibility.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's the whole point. All right, let's go into the next. I mean, look, his brush off of MGTOW, that's one thing. He laughed about it.
Let's go back to being the part about being pathetic. Okay, why does he say that? Because what we're saying is, okay, he's saying go your own way. Who cares? You're right. No one does care, and that's the part of the reason why we're going our own way.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't care, and we don't care if they don't care. That's basically what it comes down to. You are dealt a hand of cards, and you have to play those cards. And if that means folding, then you fold. And that's it. And you're not...
Well, MGTOW just doesn't play. He doesn't even sit down at the table.
Well, let's say you did.
And what Sam's saying is, okay, go. You don't have to sit at the table anymore. Okay, then let society collapse.
Yeah. Well, he'll be part of it.
Well, he doesn't have any children, so he has no stake in the game, now does he?
No, he doesn't. And that's another big thing about it. Like, fucking that old, no children, married. I'd like to know a little bit about his wife, too. Like, anyway, let's continue on with the video. I'm going to share the screen again, and we'll continue. We're going to stop again at 4:35.
The Red Pill movement, the MGTOW movement, it's in the purest sense of the word, it's a pathetic gesture. Last gasp of patriarchy before the inevitable.
Last gasp.
Yeah.
Pathetic. Last gasp. Is there anything can be done? No, of course not. There's nothing to do.
On the subject of transgenderism, Peterson shot to fame because he famously refused. Jordan Peterson shot to fame. Because it was alleged that he had refused to use.
I think he's jealous of Jordan Peterson.
Apparently, that wasn't what had happened. It was a little bit more nuanced than that. But would you yourself? Would you be happy to use the new words that have been created, the new transgender pronouns like Z and Zer, if somebody asked you to?
It's precisely how I started my previous answer to you. People are confusing sex and gender. Sex is fluid. Everything is fluid. Everything is in transition. Sex is fluid. So in this context, I wouldn't be averse to using such words. So I think the binary dichotomy between male and female is antiquated and completely out of sync.
Okay.
Even men have, we know today, have very powerful latent homosexual fantasies and sometimes experiences. And women, of course, lesbian fantasies. We know that it's mixed. We know that it's not as clear cut as we do.
Yeah.
So there I wouldn't. But as far as gender, of course, I would be averse to this, because they call it transgender, but it's wrong. Transgender is about sex.
Yeah.
As far as gender, which is a social role,
Yeah.
and reflects the power matrix and underlying social trends and developments, there I would be averse to doing this. Because I think exactly like Jordan Peterson, I said it before, that if we conflate and confuse the gender roles to that extent, we are doomed as a species.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's the next stopping point there. You still there?
Yep, I'm here.
He started off by again. He started off like MGTOW, shaming the MGTOW. He says, "Sex is fluid." This is his quote. "Sex is fluid. Gender isn't." Now, this is coming from a man who has no authority on those kind of biological or even descriptive concepts. And to be fair, neither do we. But let's break that down. Sex is fluid. Gender isn't. What the fuck does that mean?
I really don't know.
Well, no, let's really break it down. Because he's contradictory in what he says. He's very contradictory in what he says. Now, if he says sex is fluid, gender isn't, then we have to define both those terms. He doesn't do it. He never defines those terms. What is the difference between sex and gender?
I think they coincide with one another, no?
Well, if you use the words etymologically in the definition of the words historically, they are the same fucking thing. When you sign a paper that asks you for your sex, you say male or female. If you sign a paper that asks you for your gender, you say male or female. They're exactly the same thing. There is no difference between sex and gender. However, politics, sexual ideology and its politics has now decided there is a difference between those two words, when etymologically they are the same thing. When I ask you, for example, Lamprey, if I ask you, what is your sex? What would your answer be?
I'm cryptosexual.
Mine would be He-Man.
Ooh, I like that one.
If I asked you, what is your gender? What would your answer be?
Transfluid.
Exactly. I mean, it's fucking pathetic. They're taking two words that actually have the same meaning, not just biologically, but through the history of those words' meanings and where they come from. Etymology. Where those words come from. They mean the same thing. And he's trying to make a difference, which is what the leftist socialist ideologues try to do. They have to make a difference. They have to take those words, tear them apart, and say one means something and the other means another thing.
Well, what he means is that women can now wear blue and men can now wear pink. Women can now be in the military and men can stay home and raise kids and bake apple pie.
Well, then, there you go. Traditionalists are now put into a box where they have to decide, what does sex mean and what does gender mean? That's the game they're playing. And now we're in that box, so we have to decide.
Right, and Vaknin wants to play that game.
He wants to play that game, man.
And okay, fine. And look, there's cultural differences where women done more, things that men would usually do in a society. And there's no doubt there's been many that's happened. It's happened in all civilizations. As
Sure.
Again, I've mentioned that the Chinese invading North Vietnam, it was the Vietnamese women that repelled the Chinese army. Okay, then he talks about those Albanian women in northern Albania where they, duct tape their tits and smoke fucking hashish in a cafe with men. Yeah, okay, there have been times like that, but in Western society, that's not necessary, is it? It's really not.
Well, look, man.
Plethora of wealth, quote unquote wealth, when factor in debt, don't need to do the things that they've done in traditional roles.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and this is what I want to bring up for the listeners here. Again, I want to go back to Vaknin's quote where he said that sex is fluid, gender is not. He said that. Now, he will contradict himself, and he already has in the last 5 minutes that we watched the post, but he'll contradict himself again. Now, if I was to define sex, I would make it very biologically simple. Penis, vagina. That's your sex, right?
Yeah.
That's easy, right?
Tits, ass, body hair.
Okay, we're back. Can you hear me? We're back. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm there. I'm here.
Yeah, that's the OBS studio that logged
Okay.
up. I know where the problem lies. Just got to fix it. All right, so anyway, what I'm saying is that you're still there? Okay. Sex is obviously understood. We all understand it.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear it? Hello?
Okay, go on. You're just breaking up a little bit.
All right, so sex is obviously understood. You have a dick or you have a vagina. Very simple. That's not fluid. It's not fluid at all. But Sam Vaknin is saying it is fluid. He's saying sex is fluid. That's his quote. And he contradicts himself. You'll hear it.
All right, so play the next part.
Well, hold on a second. If sex isn't fluid, which I'm saying it's not, you either have a dick or you have a penis, and I think most people agree with that. That's sex. Gender isn't. He says gender isn't. What does that mean? Gender's not fluid.
Wouldn't it be the opposite? It would be the opposite.
Exactly.
Sex isn't fluid. Gender is fluid. Gender isn't fluid and sex is.
But that's not what he said. That's my whole point.
Right. So maybe he made a mistake. Maybe
yes.
Because he was in the thick of things,
Okay, fine. Maybe he made a mistake. Because I too can understand that maybe you can confuse gender. Maybe you can have a penis and think your gender is something different. Okay, I can understand that. But that's not what he said. All right? That's not what he said. And I'll hold him to that. All right? So let's go through what he says next. We're going to go through till 6:45 of the stream here. So
that I agree with him fully. Not the archetype bullshit, but if we eliminate the gender distinction, not the sexual, the gender distinction between men and women,
there he goes.
with their attendant non-patriarchal roles. In other words, if we eliminate the difference, if we eliminate all differences, we would, for example, not have incentive to procreate. We would not be able to collaborate and leverage the assets of both genders.
Right.
Nature abhors uniformity.
Right.
The reason we all have sex
Yeah.
is because nature wants you to mix.
You need polarity for there to be
You
attraction.
need diversity.
Yeah.
Nature wants diversity. Nature encourages you. Listen, why not have sex with your sister?
Yeah.
She's available. She's
He's
immediate.
full of
I mean,
shit, man.
What now? To go out, date, this, that. Why not simply fuck your sister? And that's it. Because it's bad. Because it's essentially the same gametes, the same sex cells.
Yeah.
And therefore, it will fail. Eliminating differences, sexual differences, and so on, is a failing strategy in nature, at least. Nature frowns upon it. Nature encourages you to go far
Yeah.
to find diversity.
So I should be as masculine as I could be, and then
Yes, but,
women should be.
but the problem with masculine and feminine is that it was defined during the patriarchy.
Oh, okay.
So immediately when you say masculine and feminine, it's patriarchal. Your association is patriarchal. You know, I should be a man, should be a woman.
So does that need?
For example, when I say that the differences should be maintained, men are, women are much better at socializing and networking than men. I wouldn't try to force men to be the same. I wouldn't
Right.
try to force women to be men.
Yeah.
On a biological level, women have a bit of a different, reduced, I would say, spatial perception of space.
All right, stop there. You there? You there?
Yep,
All right, you can hear me?
I'm here.
All right, so I stopped again at that point, and I want to point out again Vankin's where he contradicts himself. In the beginning, in the first part, he said sex is fluid, gender isn't. That's what he said. Go back and listen to it. That's what he said. Then in the second part, he says we can eliminate gender distinction. How can you eliminate gender distinction if gender isn't fluid, but sex is? This is what I mean. You're right. You're right, Lamprey. Maybe he fucked up. Maybe he said the wrong thing at the wrong time. But this is what.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could. That's the only thing I can think of.
But and I've listened to this talk before, and I thought that. I've thought about that. But listen to what he continues to say. Listen to what he continues to say. He says, well, not him, but the interviewer says that, well, so diversity is a problem. He's like, yes, absolutely. So he's connecting diversity with gender. He's connecting diversity with gender because the interviewer says, well, diversity is a problem. He's like, well, yes, because nature, and he uses nature and biology as to back up his bullshit argument. He's saying that nature says you can't fuck your sister. So his concept of diversity is this: don't fuck your sister, and that's diversity. So nature loves diversity. In other words, allow Muslims to come into your country, because that's diversity. Because obviously you're not fucking your sister. This is the most ridiculous fucking argument I ever heard in my life, man. He says gender isn't fluid, and then he says to eliminate gender gives you a distinction.
Yeah, which one is it?
That's my point. And he's been the whole conversation is that. And then
Well, we also have to understand. Let's go back to him. You know, fucking your sister. The overriding majority of the world, you used to procreate with your first cousin. It's illegal countries, but it's allowed in countries like Pakistan, in Cambodia, in rural parts of the world. And that's where you get people with low IQs and birth defects and stuff, right? But usually what comes out of that, now I remember reading this, and don't quote me on this, I really can't remember, but from what I understand is that if you fuck your sister and have children with your sister, that's creating a new sect of people or something. Like, you know, you just create a new tree, a new genetic tree, and it eventually grows out. You know, it gets further and further apart, right? That's one thing that I've learned a little bit about people in breeding. But usually there's obviously ramifications of that, and like I said, it's birth defects, low IQ, and a lot of other, you know, biological problems.
Yeah, I understand that. But to say that gender isn't fluid, and then to say that men have homosexual fantasies and women have homosexual fantasies, that's normal. But to say that gender isn't, and then say to eliminate all distinction of gender, that makes no fucking sense. But the other thing is this. Yes, fucking your first cousin is probably going to make your child an idiot. Most people understand that. But that's not the same thing as equating that concept with embracing diversity. Understanding that fucking your first cousin might make your child retarded isn't the same as let's fuck all the immigrants to make ourselves more diverse. Not at all. But this is what he's hinting at. This is what Vaknin is hinting at. Like the guy's a lot more Jewish than you think he is, man.
All right, let's keep playing it.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Men are much better at this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't force, because there is this trend to homogenize.
Yeah.
Let's force them to be men.
Yeah.
For example, in the tech industry.
Yeah.
In the tech industry, there's now this movement. We must have a representation of women in tech. Tech industry is founded on exclusive male skills.
Right.
It's utterly a projection of male psychology.
Okay.
Males have natural competitive advantage in the tech industry.
Mm-hmm.
I would not dream of forcing women to work there or forcing the industry to accommodate women.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad thinking.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't believe in equality. I mean, men and women should be utterly equal.
Bullshit.
But different.
Right.
Equal but different.
Okay.
Feminism and the current movements,
Yeah.
including Me Too,
Yeah.
they are trying to dispense with the difference. And that's what Jordan Peterson means when he says archetypes.
Yeah.
They're trying to dispense with the uniqueness, with the difference. They are not trying to modify social structures to gain quality, but they are trying to eliminate differences which are grounded in biology, in psychology. They're trying to eliminate what makes us different. And every single time in nature, when you eliminate differences, the population dies.
What? I mean, I
All right, look, the guy's confused at this point. He's fucking confused. Because he keeps contradicting himself. So what is it, man? Do we eliminate gender distinction? Is diversity about not fucking your sister? Is gender fluid or is sex fluid? He doesn't make any sense. I mean, I agree with what he just said, but that's in complete contradiction what he said 2 minutes ago.
Right.
So
he's a bit all over the place in this conversation.
Yeah, it's almost like he. It's like he doesn't know what it doesn't know what the focal point of the conversation is. He doesn't know. And he's trying to just answer every question without knowing what the real question is. I could fault the interviewer on that, but when I see the interviewer like confused every time, I mean, this is the second time I paused it with the interviewer going like, "What? What?" And the interviewer never questioned him on his contradiction. Never did it. So where is he going with it?
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Okay.
I have an idea why they're doing it, but what do you think? The feminism that you're talking about now is not the same feminism as academic feminism in the 40s and 50s. It's an internet, largely seems to be internet based, and people just declaring they're feminist because they hate men. They want.
No, that's Nazi feminism. That's extreme. No, I'm talking about. Take this issue. Why on earth should women be represented in the tech industry? Give me one rational explanation. Why?
Do you mean artificially represented?
Yes, I mean like forced. I mean like must be quota of 30. Why? It's not built for them. It was created by highly specific, by the way, types of males, schizoid, and I mean.
I think I saw you write somewhere there was schizoid and possibly many are autistic or
autistic.
On the
Yes, it's a reflection of a highly specific male exclusive psychology.
Right.
What on earth? Why should women be there? Why does it reduce women or diminish women that they are not there? I don't understand that. And this is an academic movement. I mean, it started in academe.
Right.
Academe identified that in Google and Apple and so on, there is an underrepresentation. It sounds like a parliament, like a
it really does.
Underrepresent.
So I'm being unfair if I try and draw a distinction between academic feminism, oh that's rational and reasonable and pathological, and internet feminism. You would say actually no, the academic feminism it's pathological.
No, some goals are right. For example, they say if a woman works 6 hours and a man works 6 hours, they should get equal pay.
I can't believe anybody would argue with that.
There are many argue with it. Because they say even economists argue with it. They say the lifelong expectancy of productive work of a woman is much reduced because of childbearing. So actually the pay now reflects the woman's ability to contribute in the long term. Put it more simply, if I hire a woman, I know she will leave me in 2 years and have a child.
Right, so I'm going to pay her less.
As an employer.
I'm going to pay her less now.
So as an employer, I don't want to invest in her.
Right.
I don't want to invest in her. She will live in 2 years.
Okay.
So I give her a lower salary. It's like she's coming for fun, not to work.
Right.
While the man is committed for the next 25 years. He will stay in my company. He will acquire skills. I will use this skill, etc., etc. So some economists are saying because women go through periods of child rearing and childbearing, and therefore are absent from work, it's normal that they get compensated less. Because there's a theory called life. There's a theory that sort of amortizes wages and savings across life.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Anyhow, but I don't agree with it. I think if a woman works 1 hour, never mind what she's going to do in 2 years. If she was working 1 hour now, she should be paid. So this is academic feminism, and I fully agree with it.
Yeah.
But I think they went overboard. I don't understand why women should be in the tech industry. I don't think they should. I think there is a serious risk, exactly as Jordan Peterson says, that we have crossed the boundary and we are now trying to eliminate differences.
Yeah.
That would be a catastrophe. Because species where the differences are reduced, we know that from biology, die out.
Because they stop having sex.
Because they stop having sex, the diversity, and also today we know, because there's a new emphasis on epigenetics, we know that environment affects genetic composition, which is later transferred to. So if we eliminate diversity in between genders, first of all, it will have impact on sexuality and of course on procreation. But I think it will also have impact on children, on your offspring. And diversity will go down and down and down until the species disappears. That's a serious biologically founded risk. It's not a joke.
You mentioned some statistics to me the other day about
Are you there?
the fact that already people are having sex less.
Absolutely, sex, for all practical purposes, vanished. For all practical purposes.
Right.
Among teenagers, sexual encounters of all kinds, including French kissing, petting, all sexual encounters declined by well over 60%.
All right, let's go there where he talks about the decline of sexual encounters. That's a real important point. The problem is that, again, like disregarding what I believe to be his contradictions up to this point, disregarding all of that, he again goes back into the pay gap myth, or the idea of women getting paid less than men. He talks about women in male psychology positions. He even mentions feminism being pathological, which I do agree with. But he also says childbearing women don't make as much money. And says that, what he says is that, and the interviewer said, questioned him, rightly, he questioned him, that, okay, if women give birth to children, why should they pay them the same amount if they're going to leave the job? And he says, well, who cares about that? Get paid 1 hour per 1 hour. Now that's an hourly wage. That's not a salary. When you work for a company, you get a salary. If you're a woman and you are the hiree of that woman and you think that she's going to work for your job, you're going to offer her a lower wage because you know that in the future that's what's going to happen. She's not getting paid per hour. And in those positions, they aren't. You have to take that in account as an employer. You have to take that into account. You can't just go, well, I'm going to pay you the same as the man that just started with the same experience as you have, when I know, or there's a good chance that in the future you're going to leave the job. You can't do that.
Correct.
So Vaknin's being totally dishonest with this. He said himself in that snippet we just played, oh, pay 1 hour for 1 hour. So what's he saying? Put everyone on an hourly wage instead of a salary? Come on, man. Like, who the fuck's going to do that?
No, he's discussing. He's mentioning that women leave. That most women don't stick around unless they're obviously teachers or working for the government. Then they get all the perks and
But he did say we should pay hour per hour. He said that.
He's breaking it down. What's the hourly rate, women versus men? And men usually get paid more because they stick around in a business, which is correct, and that's the way it should be. It should be based on experience and how long you're going to wind up sticking with that business.
Yes, but he also said we should make it hour per hour. That was I can't quote it directly. I can go back, but he said they should be per hour. Like, if they're going to work an hour, I don't believe in this. He said that.
No, it goes by how long you're going to stick around. I'm not going to invest all this time and energy into you if you're just going to leave and you're going to have a kid. And then when you have a kid, you move on to another career or another profession. That's just not how it works.
Yes, but he did say, he said we shouldn't discriminate against women.
All right,
hour per hour should be.
Look, that's coming from a guy who isn't in a business profession. This is coming from a guy out of academia who's an intellectual. Okay, we can talk about what his business was like in the past and that he's worked in, we can go down the Molyneux path that he cut keys on a dirt road in Canada or some bullshit that Molyneux used to say.
No.
But at the end of the day, what are you doing for work now, Vaknin? You're just sitting there spewing your talking points, what you believe, and this is the way it should, and this, so on and so forth.
Well, if it was
it's a little bit.
If it was Molyneux, he'd give you a big long story on how he's been through the same shit you've been through.
Right, how he was in the Civil War.
Yeah,
he was there with Ulysses. He's there with General Lee, waving the Confederate flag.
What What? You're a single mother? I was a single mother once.
Yeah, right.
No, I went
I
through
remember when
that.
I was getting my C-section in Papua New Guinea,
Absolutely. That's exactly what
and
Molly
the government
did.
was suppressing anesthetic and anesthesia.
Yeah. Well, I
And I was
remember.
cutting keys. Yeah, right.
What a
I'll never forget when he says he was cutting keys. I cut keys when I was a child, and then at my first startup business in IT before the .com bubble crash, whatever.
Yeah,
But
you know-
again, this is coming from a guy who is an intellectual. Okay, he's in a classroom. He's an introvert. He's a narcissist. He's had a bunch of business failures. Vatkin.
Yeah.
So for him to say that, okay, Vaknin, go open a new business and put that into practice. Let me know how it works out for you.
Exactly. You know, and I'm not a person that can say that I've been in a position where I can accurately say that's true through experience. All right? But I can say it as
I have. My
there you
guy
go.
who hired me, the guy who hired me had this assistant. She wasn't a girl. She was 40. And I told him when he first hired me, I go, yo, don't trust this woman. Don't trust this woman. She's looking to leave. And he felt bad for her. He really wanted her to stay and stuff. So he started giving her more money to stay. I go, don't do that. Don't give her more money. She's going to leave. Get this. She leaves the my employer's mother passed away. She just fell off the face of the earth. Couldn't get in touch with her. I was emailing her, calling her. I go, where are you? Where are you? Oh, there's like an emergency. The
Done.
guy who hired you's mom just dropped dead. We need help. She quit when that happened. How cold that is. How fucked up is that for someone to do that? Here's a guy giving you more money, training you, doing all these things for you, and you quit when he's in the middle of a serious crisis. It was horrible. I felt so bad for him.
I believe it, man. Look, male coming to age duty in the comments says, in the USA, women earn more than men for the same job out of college until they have a kid and leave the workplace.
Okay, let's back that up now. Okay, so a woman that's 25 is making more money than a guy who's 25. Why? Does it have to do with hypergamy? Yeah. Of course you like that 25-year-old in your office, and of course you want to give her more money and stare at her tits and ass. But at 35, not so much. And that guy has more. Obviously, a man at 35 has more to give to the business versus a woman who's 35, who obviously is usually rearing children.
Yes. Mekong Frank says Vaknin is very European.
Well, he hates America. He hates America with a passion.
Yeah.
He stated that many times. If you read some of his articles and writings, woohoo, he really does not like America.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg Q is in. Hello, gents. Good to see you, Greg Q. Mekong Farang,
Nope.
intellectual equals leftist.
Yes, Vaknin is very, very left. Yes, correct.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to what he's saying in the next part.
In the past 10 years. 10 years.
10 years.
60%. According to studies by Twench, Campbell, and Martin. 60%. Dating has declined by 53%. Depends where. In Japan, the figures are 80 and 90%. In the United Kingdom, 40% of all teenage males by far prefer video games to dating a girl. So sex is vanishing, and intersex attraction is vanishing. Why would I want to date a woman who is a man? I mean, tell me that seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, go into countries like United Kingdom, Scandinavia, and so on.
Yeah.
Some of these women are far more manly than me.
Yes.
Not some, what am I talking about? Majority of women look far more manly than me.
And their speech patterns, their actions are quite,
Men,
they're
I mean,
quite
men.
macho and
Men,
Yeah.
absolute men.
yeah,
And they've adopted this posture of, I'm also a man.
Yeah.
You're a man, I'm also a man.
yeah,
And it's a huge pity.
yeah.
No one tells you that you're not equal. Of course you have my equal.
Yeah.
With equal rights, you should get equal pay. I fully agree. I will support you in any way, shape, or form to obtain these goals. But why do you have to be me?
Yeah.
I don't want you to be
Why are
me.
you entering that space of...
Yeah, why you have to be a man? I don't want you to be a man. I want a woman.
Yeah.
You know what? I just spent some time in the United Kingdom. I couldn't find a woman. I was not looking for a woman. I mean, I couldn't see a woman. I didn't see a single vagina-carrying container who I would classify as a woman. I mean, but I went to Russia, to a primitive area of Russia, traditional area, which is South Russia.
Yeah.
Listen, these are women.
Yeah.
They are hunter-predators.
Yes, they're dangerous.
They're histrionic. They're gold diggers. They want you for your money.
Yeah.
But they want you, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Never mind for what. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Finally, women.
Yes.
You know, they expect you to open the door, to give them flour. Listen, I'll tell you a story. Poor Vladimir Putin, first time and only time, I will call him poor. Poor Vladimir Putin was invited to a meeting with Angela Merkel.
Yes.
So he brought her flowers. That's what Russian men do.
Yes.
You should have seen the articles in Der Spiegel and others the day after. Chauvinist pig. He still thinks that women are inferior. He still thinks with flowers he can buy the soul of a woman. Fuck.
Yeah.
The men brought her flowers.
He did.
What the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, and when you go to Germany, the women are not women, and I'm not talking only about the fact that all of them have muscles, and forget all this. I'm talking about the body language.
That is a new phenomenon. Women bodybuilding. They
Yes,
love.
I'm not talking about them.
Yeah,
Okay, you
yeah.
can adapt somehow to.
Yeah.
But the body language, the exuded vibrations and communication, the expectations. Even before I met Lydia, which was almost 20 years ago, I used to live in the United Kingdom, in the West. I lived in Switzerland, Paris, United Kingdom. Listen, I've been castigated and rebuffed by women for insisting to pay for dinner. Or I have once been thrown off the stairs because I brought flowers. I mean, something is seriously wrong.
Yeah.
Something has gone seriously awry. There is a movie called, with Denzel Washington, Israel Jr. something, Israel Isaacs Jr. something.
All right.
Wonderful new movie,
Yeah.
2017. Israel Isaac something. I mean, you can look it up on
Okay. I'm a Denzel Washington fan. I'm surprised I don't know that one.
You're not? In this movie, he's great. Yeah. He's playing in the movie an autistic advocate.
Okay.
Okay, so it's professional education. Autistic advocate. And he's invited to give a lecture. So he comes to the lecture place, and he begins to give the lecture. And there's this hall, and it's full. And two women are standing. Two women are standing on the side. Beautiful women, young women, standing on the side. So he says, gentlemen, and he's very gentle. He's not, he says, you must see this scene. He says, it exemplifies what's wrong with our society. He says to two men, would you mind giving them place? I mean, they're ladies. Listen, the so-called ladies. Chauvinist pig, maniac. What do you think? We are weaklings? You think we are not equal to you? You think we cannot stand like you are stand? Fuck. I mean, I looked at it. I said, that's the perfect embodiment of everything that's gone wrong.
All right, let's stop it there. Just on a side note of what he just last said is chauvinist pig trying to preserve what feminine qualities are. How could you do that? Complete contradiction to what he said before. 100%.
All right, let's start with the beginning part about how he couldn't find. Well, no. Even before that,
in Japan,
let's go back to that where people are less and less interested in sex. No. Guys still want to have sex. It's women that aren't having sex because they're taking up male roles. Okay, well, so when he talks about when he went to the United Kingdom and he couldn't find a single woman, he's 100% correct because women walk like men now, They talk like men. I mean, the amount of F-bombs I hear out of an average American woman now, it's disgusting. It's repulsive. How can I bring you out to dinner if all you do is say fuck all the time? It's horrible, right? So, and this goes back to women being more like abrasive, constantly arguing with me over things they don't know anything about, right? Bringing up the Brooklyn Monk, prior to us having that live stream last week, we were sitting down having coffee, and I said off the cuff, I go, Cambodian women are more intelligent than American women. He went ballistic on me, right? And he took it a little bit out of context, and he thought it in terms of education, which he's correct. But what I meant it as is like being more of a woman.
Yeah.
Right, Cambodian women are much more feminine, right? They know their role. At the same time, they're still very strong. Not, there's obviously downsides about Cambodian women, but if I'm sitting down having a cup of coffee, if I'm sitting down with a Western woman, she's going to be fighting with me over the topography of Algeria, which was one of the last conversations I had with a woman, where we were discussing Algeria, that she went to Algeria, how beautiful it is, blah, blah, blah. And I know very little about Algeria. And I said, oh, it's mostly desert and mountains. And then she flipped the fuck out on me. She goes, no, it's not. It has a coastline and there's trees and I'm like, oh my fucking God, dear Lord. And she just kept going on and on and on about Algeria. And what do I do later in the night? I just go to Wikipedia, Algeria topography, and 85% of it is desert and mountains. I just copied that and texted that to her, and I go, just shut the fuck up. Why did you argue with me over that? Ridiculous. These are topics you don't know about. You want to talk about migrant caravan, you don't even know what's going on behind that story. You're being emotional about the topic. There's women dying. They're barefoot and pregnant, crossing over the border, and they're shooting tear gas at them. I go, wait a second. Where are they coming from? Is it really all women and children? How did they get through Mexico? Who's funding this trip? Of course, they don't want to get into that. It's the first layer is emotion, and then you have to, methodically, step by step, walk them through it. You can't be emotional. Don't get on her level. This is usually how I deal with speaking to my mother. My mother has 2 master degrees and a PhD. At the surface level, she's going to be emotional. And I go, wait a second, Mom, let's break it down. Okay, A, B, C, and D. And my mother goes, oh yes, you are right. Okay, good. Moving on.
Well, that's the thing is if generally, if you're communicating with women, you have to do it. You have to break through the emotional boundary.
Extremely pragmatic.
Yeah.
You have to be mathematical about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can't go after her emotions. You can't be negative also. It's got to be a smooth line. So smooth it out. Calm the animal down. Calm down. Let's do this together. Let's do the steps.
It's
okay?
like having
Follow
a
the
pet.
bounce.
It's like having a
It's
pet.
right. It's like having a pet.
So
when he speaks about going back a little bit, when he speaks about women and men not having sex, no. Men have not changed. Women have changed because you've trained them, you've reared them to act like men without the responsibility, which which comes full circle back to feminism.
Yes, absolutely. If you give, but I have to put a caveat into what you just said, Lamprey. And my caveat is this, is that biologically women and men mature differently based on hormones. And this can be tested. I challenge anyone to test this. Is that women will mature physically faster than men. I don't think anybody can deny that. Just watch it. Women go through puberty faster. They go through their pubertorial hormones faster. They become adults faster in a biological sense. But at the same time, they stunt emotionally. And I've seen this again. I've said this every time we talk.
They stunt emotionally when they realize what their sexual market value is.
Yes, but regardless of just even having that concept, I don't even think they have the concept of sexual marketplace value. I think this is a true biological fucking drive. They know
Yes.
it.
That's the biggest base. That's the foundation, is what you're speaking about. Yes.
Yes, I honestly believe there is no woman alive today that had a mother that had to sit them down at 6 years old and say, look, you're going to control every man this way. It's hormonal. It's fucking hormonal. They know it. You can't blame them for it because it's hormonal. It's a part of their life. You know, and that's why they were the last to vote in the Americas.
Right. So let's get into the part about Japan. Yes, Japan is going through a demographic crisis. We know this. I mean, God, I mean, it's been beaten. I'm browbeaten over the conversation about Japan this, Japan that. Okay, why is it like that in Japan? First of all, it's a cultural problem where women have to culturally marry up. Hypergamy, number one, most important. Most of the women are making more money than men. That's why you have the Hikikomori types where they just play video games all day long. The situation in Japan is the same situation as it is in the United States. Europe is a separate problem. I mean, it's a whole separate issue with European feminism and the situation between the two sexes. The situation in Japan is the same in the United States, where women are taking higher positions. Therefore, they must find a man who makes more money than them. They look down on the ones that make less than them because they consider those men unsuitable providers.
But why?
You know,
why do they look down on those men? That's the whole point.
Biology.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, they look down on those men for a reason. It's not accident. Like, I understand that there is a lot of what do you call it? Changing the minds of the masses.
Yeah, it's a form of psychological warfare, which Sam doesn't want to discuss. He dances around it. You know, he mentioned it. Well, why do women have to take up these positions? Why do women have to work at Google and Facebook and Apple? Well, you tell us. Yeah. You tell us where that's coming from. It's not coming out of a vacuum, Mr. Vaknin, now is it?
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. So there is some kind of... But look, don't confuse it. There are factors that are biological. But I think the biggest difference that we need to understand is that the biological difference are understood by people that have power. And they know
and they're using that against the society
exactly.
at large. Yes,
they're
correct.
playing it. They're playing it. And we're not taught that. We don't understand that. We don't know that. We don't learn that when we go to high school, preschool, and we learn how to read and write. They don't tell us how to understand the difference between men and women. They don't do that. Could you imagine if you were a preschool student and you went, here's 1 + 1 = 2, here's the color blue and green and yellow, and at the same time, here's what a woman is and a man is. They don't teach you that shit. None of us learn that shit. You know, we gotta learn it later.
We're here because we aren't there. Okay? And a lot of the baby boomers are now somewhat woken up to the fact that a lot of the cultural problems we're having today stems from the Woodstock hippie 1969 MK Ultra situation that happened after JFK's death during the Vietnam War, between '68
Well,
and 1970.
JFK, his death was a hoax.
Well, that whole situation was the end of America as we knew it, as we know it. Obviously, there was a series of steps that happened even prior to JFK's death, but I really think JFK was the turning point of the United States, and a lot of the people that were alive during that time, people that are now in their 60s, have somewhat realized, okay, what's happening? How did we go from women wearing a shawl, going to church, praying, being modest, a grandma with her hair cut short, okay, to tramp stamp
Yeah.
and to buy porta potty chicks? How did we get from there to here, right? So that's basically what I have to say in regards.
Well, I can agree with you that and say this much is that on Instagram, every woman I see on it is trying to sell her tits. There's no exception. Like, there is no exception. Every woman is trying to sell her tits.
Well, social media is a feedback loop, okay? Why did Cindy Lou get more likes with her picture versus mine? Well, she's showing cleavage. Okay, so now I'm gonna have a bra. I'll get more likes now. Okay, How did she get more likes? Well, she's wearing nothing but a bra.
Yeah,
okay,
but
then
why?
I'll just go nude.
Why is there no men showing their dicks? Seriously,
Because dicks are a dime a dozen.
come on, man.
They are.
Exactly, but the reality is that what they have is worth something, and they're willing to show it. That's the whole point. That's why they're being audited.
We'll save that. We'll save that. I see you're digressing into that, but yes, you are correct.
All right, so let's go to the next point of the video. I'll share the video here.
Do you not? I mean, I've found as well that all of that is true, and also that there is a hostility towards men as built into that.
That was to have been expected, because in every transition, there's always hostility to the previous masters.
Right.
Transition from communism, there was hostility to USSR, Russia.
Right.
Transition from, and so every transition you sort of you must define yourself by opposition to the previous master,
right,
as a slave.
Right.
I mean, women were slaves.
Yeah.
Up to the end of the 19th century, they were registered as property, chattel.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, 2 beds, 1 mirror, 1 woman, 2 children. Women and children were chattel. They were transferable. There were transactions, by the way, in the 17th and 18th century, where men sold their women, wives, to other women. They were utter property.
Yeah.
So they were slaves, akin exactly to the black slaves in the United States. Look what's happening in the United States. I think blacks hate whites way more than whites hate blacks. Way more.
Based on my experience there, I would say yes.
I have received racist slurs from at a ratio of 10 to 1 from blacks. It is blacks who are writing to me that I'm a white cunt and this. White cunt, not cunt. Cunt is okay. Yeah. White cunt. And I rarely get someone from a letter from a message from a white guy saying, these black assholes.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Yeah.
I think racism is prevalent among blacks, not among whites.
There's a contempt there. You can see white contempt for blacks in America, but the aggression, the hostility seems to be.
Yeah, in that sense. No, because you asked about aggression. Hatred.
Yes, yeah.
So, because hatred of previous masters.
Right.
So I think women are like that. They are reacting with hatred to previous masters. We were their previous masters. We abuse them. No question about it. We misuse and abuse them.
There are still enclaves, though, aren't there? I mean, here in the southern Balkans.
Sorry?
Here in the southern Balkans, there are enclaves where that hasn't reached here yet. Women are still acting.
There are enclaves. I said South Russia here.
Yeah.
In South Russia, it's patriarchy.
Yeah.
And, here, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's strange because the West has made inroads. Even, for example, In South Russia, infidelity and cheating are very high.
Right.
It's patriarchy.
Yeah.
The man is king.
Right.
But the wives rebel by cheating.
Right.
So these are the weapons of the weak.
Yes.
Cheating, passive aggression,
Yes. Yeah.
passive aggression, manipulation, deceiving. These are the weapons of the weak. And you can't get rid of these weapons in one generation, or even as we see in the case of black Americans, Afro-Americans. It takes hundreds of years sometimes.
Yeah.
The weapons of the weak are with you, passed on from generation to generation for many generations.
Yes.
I see the weapons of the weak among Jews. Jews never think straight. I'm sorry to sound like an anti-Semite. Because they never think straight, they're brilliant. Because they never think straight, they're brilliant. They come up with new science. And, they revolutionize physics and medicine, and because they never think straight. Everyone else thinks straight. They don't think straight. They think this way, as you can see from this interview. But that is the weapon of the weak.
Right.
You need to think, what am I going to
Around.
do in this case, in that case?
Yeah.
They multiple scenarios. And the same with women, and the same with blacks, and the same with all suppressed minorities. And especially if you've been suppressed for 10,000 years,
Yeah.
it's not going to disappear in 100 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. So women, I would say, are, for example, much more passive-aggressive than men, underhanded, deceitful, and so on. They had to.
Yeah. They can't be direct.
They can't. They couldn't have been. I mean, had
Yeah.
they been direct, they would have been geschliffed.
Yeah.
And the same with the black people. They have the weapons of the weak. Crime is a weapon of the weak.
Yes.
When you are underskilled, undereducated, it's a weapon of the weak.
Yeah.
It's a way to force society to reallocate resources using heroin. you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So these are all weapons of the weak. And we are at a pivotal moment. We are exactly at the second, not moment, second of transition from male dominance to female dominance, when females have yet to adopt a dominant mindset.
Right.
They still have slave mentality,
Right.
but they are already dominant in many respects. So they are like, I'm dominant, but I hate him. And
What do I do with this?
what do I do with this? And
Yeah.
they don't have the tools to cope with their newfound dominance.
That's the perfect description. Because when I'm interacting with women and there's conflict, because I'm trying to date, and there's weird conflict that comes out of nowhere, they appear to be shocked by their own hostility. They're hostile, and then they're like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to stand by it. I'm going to
Yeah.
double down on it.
These are the true gender roles. I mean, what's happening is that males are becoming more and more slavish, more and more dominated by women, but they still have master mentality.
Right.
10,000 years of masterhood.
Yeah.
Master mentality.
Yeah.
So they rebel.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm the king. I'm the patriarch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a joke. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
Men are pathetic.
Yeah.
And of course, it reduces sexual tension and sexual attraction, because who wants to fuck a pathetic person? I mean,
Okay.
majority of males are pathetic.
Okay.
So male are pathetic because they are slaves pretending to be masters, and women are masters pretending to be slaves. Not pretend, I mean, still with slave mentality.
Yeah.
You see that in, for example, post-colonial societies. In Africa, I worked for 4 years in Africa. I know Africa intimately. Wonderful continent. I love it.
All right, let's stop it there. Jesus Christ. You still there?
Can you hear me? Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the black-white thing. The Grannon was 100% correct. There's more contempt for blacks, and there's obviously more hatred from blacks towards whites. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, when black people riot, I know just people that are around me, it's just like, oh, here we go again. Like it's just so old, and you just don't care at this point. Like, just all right, here we go again. There's,
But that's in America,
here comes
right?
Al Sharpton. Yeah, here comes Al Sharpton. Here comes Jesse Jackson. Here we go again. You're burning down your neighborhood. It's just the same typical mantra, and and then the hatred towards white coming from blacks. That's again more from social engineering. That the Democrats, the left, pander to blacks that you're oppressed. You ride the short bus to school. You need help. Like, no, they can help themselves. They can do it. Stop aiding and abetting their problems.
Everybody else did it.
Did what?
They help themselves.
Right, except for blacks need they need a crutch, obviously. You know, just
It's
that's just very, you know.
It's like the Indians in Canada, man.
Right, it's the same bullshit. And we haven't really discussed too much about black and white bullshit that much on this live stream. We'll do it another time. But yes, Grannon is correct. The second part obviously is when he was, what was the second part of
Well,
that was a bit long.
this is one thing he said that I want to make a mention of. Is he said men sold women, women were property. All right, this is Vaknin's statement. He didn't give a date.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't give a time. He just said that in the past, men sold women, women were property. What kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah, where when was all this?
Where did it happen? Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to know, where did this happen? Give me the date and time. Because I guarantee you, this Jew can give me the date and time that blacks were sold to whites, but he can't give me a day and time when women were sold to men.
Right, and then he gets into how women have the upper hand. Well, Vaknin, how did they get the upper hand? Could it be the government? Could it be the government that's defanging men? And
No,
we can't
but
be ourselves?
But his argument is that the hatred of previous masters. That's his whole argument.
How can that be? How can that be? If that was the case, there'd be no children.
Well, his point was that it was the hatred of previous masters. That's why it exists. This is his fucking words, man.
No, it's called manipulation, and it's called government in your bedroom.
Well, and then goes into wives cheating in Russia.
Okay, then we get into the manipulation part, which is obviously, if you guys read The Manipulated Man, goes hand in hand with what he just said. Women are the weaker sex, therefore they have to manipulate. And there's nothing that's 100% fact. Women have to manipulate the environment which they're given because they are the weaker sex, because they don't have, muscles. So women have to manipulate the man in order so she doesn't catch a beating. Right?
Well,
if she's mad at her husband, yeah, she's going to go out and sleep around as a way of being vindictive. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, but that's what he used as his example. Wives cheating in Russia. That's being passive aggressive. It doesn't matter where wives are. But if they're cheating to be passive aggressive, that's their fucking fault. Not ours. Not my fault as a man. Like, if you want to do that as a woman, to be passive aggressive because you don't have the strength to punch me in the fucking face, fine. But that doesn't mean that you are eliminated from the consequences of what you're doing. Look, as a man, I can dominate you physically. I can punch you in the face. I can knock you down. But that doesn't take me away from the responsibility of doing that. Why should it? Yeah, exactly. Why should it take you away from the responsibility of doing the same thing with the power?
Of you sleeping around.
Yeah, with the power that you have.
Well, in the past, there was this thing called ostracizing someone. And I think Sam actually gets into this. Actually, no, it's not in this video. He gets into it in another, I think maybe part 3 or part 4 when he speaks to Granite. But yes, the women were ostracized for sleeping around, for being, a loose cannon around the neighborhood. We all knew that girl in high school that slept with the whole football team, right?
Yeah.
But she was ostracized. She was never able to bond with, a decent guy, because the whole football team banged her, and the guy with money, the guy who's successful, would never settle down with her because of what you did previously.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you, let's say, if you wanted to divorce your husband, okay, the whole family ostracize you away. Guess what? We don't care about your kids. I don't care that it's my grandchildren. You are leaving your husband, and you're gone. That's it. Goodbye.
Yes.
This is your choice. But now the family has taken them in, right? The family now blames the man for the divorce. Doesn't blame the woman, right?
Yeah. Well, what's happening now is that women are given the opportunity to have no responsibility over their actions.
Well, she's rewarded.
Yeah, she is. She actually is rewarded.
Right, she's rewarded, and he's saying that this is a form of them getting back at men for the 10,000 years of oppression that he stayed.
You know, and I wonder, where has the men been rewarded for that in society? Show it to me. Show it to me, Vaknin. Show it to me where men have been rewarded for doing the same thing that women are doing now.
Yes, correct.
Please.
Well stated there, my brother.
It ain't happening. It's not fucking
And I go
happening.
back to the reason why this is happening is the government, the police officer, your Blue Lives Matter is in your bed.
Yes.
So the women wouldn't have all these things if it wasn't for government intervention.
Well, this, and again, this goes into what Vaknin said. He said blacks are more racist. Why are they more racist? Vaknin, brother, could it be the same thing as male versus female? Think about it. What we're doing, again, this is just a obvious concept of pitting one person against the other. And Vaknin has done the same. He's done the fucking same, and he's trying to use race as a backdoor to what he said about men and women.
Yeah, backdoor into this. Right. So, and this goes back to, what is he attacking? He's attacking Western males.
Yes. Absolutely. Man. You know, it's a backdoor into that. And you can compare it to white and black.
Right. So you're comparing white to black to women and men.
Yes.
Which is totally total red herring as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Total bullshit. Okay, because men and women have been. Granted, they've been a warring subspecies for the past 100 years. I'm not doubting that. Okay, because of the advancements of society. But again, this goes back to social engineering and government intervention, defanging men to the society that they built.
Well, yeah, and there's an understanding of the difference between men and women. And I honestly don't know what's easier to understand. The difference between men and women, or the difference between a black man and a white man. Seriously?
Well, no, there's bigger difference between, obviously, men and women versus black men and white men.
Exactly my point. That's exactly my point. You know, when it comes to race, or I don't want to say race. Race is a horrible word to say to make that comparison.
Skin color.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Skin color. What? You still have a dick, right? You still have a dick, and you put it in a pussy. That's pretty same, right? Like.
Well, not anymore in Vaknin's world.
Yeah, well, that's the point. It's like, regardless of our difference, I have a dick. She has a pussy. I can put it in. She can let it go in. That's the biggest difference. There's nothing left after that. Other than that, it's just men going, oh, but my skin is darker than yours.
Well, they're rebelling against previous slave masters. I mean, it's black men, African Americans, and white women rebelling against what? White Christian males, perhaps? Is that where you're getting at with it, Vaknin? I mean, where are you getting at with this conversation now?
Is he talking about all the white women that had black men hung by a tree because they made them rape them? They had a white woman I want that black dick. He fucks
Yeah,
her.
the genocide of black men that were killed by white women.
Yeah,
They wanted to
man.
bury what they did in the backyard.
Yes, absolutely, man. And
We should
again,
start that movement. Reparations for black men that are hung by white women.
yes, and then in the end, it comes down to a woman versus a man. No race. There's no race involved. In the end, there's no race involved. Like, remove race from it all.
That's all right. It's all right. You know what? Because when these white women with no children, right, in another 20 years, it's going to come back and haunt them. Because eventually, the social engineering, the ruling class, the oligarchs, it's all going to turn on them later on. Right now, they're living high on the horse. It's Santorini. It's Instagramming what she eats, sipping champagne. It's all going to end for her
Well,
because eventually the media, the oligarchs are going to start going after them later on.
Well, it's starting with the thought tax. Thought tax.
you want to go there? We'll save it. If we have time later, we'll
We'll
pull
go there.
it up.
But it's a thought tax. That's where it's starting. All right, let's keep continuing with the video. Continue with the video.
You see collectives, I wouldn't call them nations, because they adopted it from Europe. They declared nation states, but there are no nations. You see tribes or collectives who were subjugated for, let's say, 200 years, 300 years under white rule, sometimes rapacious and savage white rule, like the Belgians, much worse than the Germans, and so on. And then suddenly they gain independence.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
They're
I'm here.
masters now of their own fate. of
It's
their own
just
resources,
spinning. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see.
of everything.
No, I'm
of
good.
others.
It's playing.
Other minorities, they're masters of,
Cool.
but they still have slave mentality. They behave like slaves, still.
Yes.
And you see this perhaps in Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe is a unique case where whites used to rule, then blacks took over, but all the whites remained and they controlled big parts of the resources.
Yeah.
And you have this slave-master interaction, and none of them got used to it. Not the whites don't know how to behave, the blacks don't know how to behave. We have this globally between men and women.
Yeah.
Sex will disappear because the foundations of sexual attraction are diversity
Yeah.
and the recognition of this diversity and dignity, let's call it. Diversity and dignity.
Dignity.
There's no diversity and no dignity left.
There's no. We don't seem to be respecting
No
each
mutual
other.
respect. How can you respect someone without dignity?
Yeah.
And how can you be attracted to yourself unless you're a narcissist? So narcissism is rising.
Yes.
And homosexuality is on the rise.
Is it?
Nothing wrong with homosexuality, don't make sense. I'm not judging. Homosexuality is on the rise. Homosexuality, psychologically at least, is a form of making love to yourself. So make love, if I'm a man and make love to a man, immediately there are some elements of making love to myself.
I've never had a gay friend, male or female, who didn't end up with a virgin that looked. I've even spoken to them about it. There was an Iranian girl I used to know, like the girl that you've picked, the Spanish girl. She looks just like you. She says, "I know."
Yeah, there are pronounced narcissistic elements in there. Now, I don't know if homosexuality is on the rise because people admit to homosexuality, so they're
Maybe, yeah.
outing themselves more acceptable. And we know now that sexuality is biological foundation, it's not a choice, and it's not a pathology, definitely. It's been removed from the diagnostic and statistical manual, thank God. So I don't know if that's the reason, but the fact is that people self-identifying as homosexuals have tripled in the past 20 years. So today, about 15% identify as homosexuals and another 15% as bisexual. But if narcissism is rising because diversity is disappearing, you're forced to make love to yourself.
Right.
If I see a woman that is much more muscular and macho and masculine than me, then, you know, I'm not likely to be attracted to her. Maybe I'll be attracted to an effeminate man who will offer me a female version, much more recognizable female version. So I think the changes in sexual orientation and sexual preferences reflect this warfare. And when there are similar cases in history, for example, the transition from matriarchy to patriarchy in ancient Greece, we saw homosexuality as a totally acceptable social alternative.
Yeah.
Greek warriors
Yes.
went through homosexual rites.
Yes.
Greek
all the Spartans
students.
did.
It was part of the Greek students went to homosexual mentors. It was part of the education. So I think it's an indication of social dislocation, gender dislocation as well. It's an interesting period. I don't know how it will end, because some slaves never become masters.
That's it.
Well, that's the end.
Okay, so talks about slaves being white.
When did he say that? I didn't catch that.
Well, he talked at the beginning of what he said, and there's no diversity in dignity. And he thinks that homosexuality is the same. But again, I think he has a hard time understanding what race is. And he uses white the same way liberals do.
Yeah, I don't understand. What do you mean by that? I didn't really catch any of that, what you're saying in his statement.
Homosexuality is the same.
Yeah, but what about the white part? I didn't catch that.
There's no diversity in dignity.
No, there isn't. Dignity is dignity.
Homos are the same. How is homosexuality the same in that diversity?
As what?
That diversity.
Well, there is no social diversity, yes, but in Darwinism, no, you're dead. There's nothing. That's it. If you're a homosexual, you don't reproduce.
Well, he said make love to yourself.
Right. So okay, then he's contradicting himself from his earlier statement in the beginning of the video.
Well, he said make love to yourself because it's all the same. You're narcissists. Fuck yourself. That's where homosexuality comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's he talking about there.
Well, he's talking about the rise of homosexuality, and there's a couple reasons why there's a rise in homosexuality. Again, there's a social engineering. There's a breakaway from the church, which he doesn't. There's a lot of I guess, patriarchal, religious aspect to what he's saying. He's talking about the Greeks. He's talking about the Spartan warriors. I mean, you can throw Rome into this also, but you have to understand homosexuality during that time was not so much the same as it is today. What it was back then was a form of dominance. Okay, it was whoever I guess we can go into alpha beta.
Why is it different today? How is the dominance not different today?
Because I don't think there was much of a narcissistic element to it back then, and also you have to understand that back then it was much more. It was more social anarchy that was involved. They believed there was polytheism, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one part of it, and I don't think there was much social engineering taking place during the times of the Greeks and the Romans.
Polytheism was a big difference. Absolutely.
Right. That was a huge difference. And, the other problem, again, why is there such a rise in homosexuality? One problem is because women are not fucking. Again, a lot of guys that are more irrational, the men that are more, attached, more emotional, I want to say, I'm trying to use the right word here, slaves to their passions. Men that are more slave to their passions just want to stick their dicks into everything. Same thing like pornography.
Well,
right?
he said, Vaknin said, make love to yourself. I mean, how much, I agree with him. Like, how much more true can that be? Make love to yourself. If you can't make love
What do you
to
think?
anybody else,
What do you think Instagram is? A woman. I mean, 60% of all photos on the internet now are selfies. Who's
Yeah.
doing most of the selfies? It's women.
it's women. They're making love to themselves. Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely. So homosexual males are starting to have sex with other like-minded men.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I know you disagree with me on why there's a rise in homosexuality. I do think a lot of it stems from the lack of attention, men getting attention. Uh, you're more likely to have a guy give you attention than a woman. I mean, for fuck's sakes, me and you are having a conversation right now. We're not talking to women now, are we?
No.
We're like-minded. Okay, doesn't mean I want to shove my dick in you, Ayam. Right.
No, I agree
So
with that.
I think a lot of it has to do with, again, the lack of external threats, the lack of ostracizing from the family, from the community, because you're already atomized to the point where you're just a floating island.
Well, and in the end, that all depends on a man's ability to understand his own sexuality. And that's why I always say go your own way, because
Like Luke.
well, no, but look where Luke has gone. Like where has he gone?
He's plucked himself out of society.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, man. I mean, if you go your own way, you understand that sexuality is something, it's a drive that procreates, but it's also a drive that can lead you down very dark paths. I mean, that's a part of life. You accept it or you don't. You take it or you leave it. And at some point you have to say, you know what? I'm going to have control over my sexuality.
You're gonna be disciplined.
Yeah, I don't want to be someone that's driven by my sexual drives.
And he's saying do the complete opposite. Be diverse. Shove a
Yes,
papaya up your ass.
that's what the world's telling us. The world wants us to be sexually, what's the word?
Enslaved. A slave to your passion.
Enslaved to your passion. Absolutely.
And that's what homosexuality truly is.
That exactly what homosexuality is, a slave to your passions. And not only that, but so is this gender diversity. A slave to passions. You know, it's really sad, man. It's a lack of self-control over the individual. And it's sad. It's very, very sad. You know, I'm watching.
Well, think about it. If two gay guys, you have the sex drive of two men. So what are they going to do? All they're going to do is have butt sex all day long.
Well, what did it do to Freddie Mercury?
It killed him.
Gave
Or
him
so they
AIDS.
say.
Yeah, well, so they say, gave him AIDS and he died. I mean, but the whole point is like, if you, God, the Quran says this perfectly. I can't repeat it word for word, but it says it perfectly. If you indulge in sexual indulgence, then you'll die. It's the end of your life. Just stop it. Just stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also says, not just in your personal life, not just in the external life, but also your personal life. Like, just stop it. This is where society ends. I mean, society begins and ends with the reproduction of the people that make it exist. And if you corrupt that, it ends completely. We all end. So you just stop it. It's being
You
taught.
go your own way
Well,
be pathetic, like what Vaknin said.
Yeah, exactly. We've been taught. We are being taught that our lives have to be somehow sexually explicit all the time. every time. That's the number one way they make the world end. Again, in the Quran it says there was a conversation between a king or between an angel, however you want to define it. And they said, if you want to disrupt life, just make sure that men and women can't get along. How do they do that? It's through sexuality.
I think the Ayatollah said that too.
Yes. Everybody said that. Man, everybody said that. You know, Vaknin is... He knows what's happening, but he's not telling the truth about what is happening. Let him do it. Fine. You know? But I'm just real sick of it.
Let me back up here. Rico Champagne, Nick, are you saying that the cock carousel is not real? Yeah, the cock carousel is a fallacy, 100%. I've said that many times. That is, you want there to be a cock carousel, and you want to be the cock
Part of it.
on one of the cocks on the carousel. It's
Yeah.
not real. It's a cock carousel. It's a redistribution of pussy, and it's a very small group of men that actually get to be a part of it. We're not part of it, right? And I've said that many times.
And
that
you don't want to be a part of it.
It's a part of MGTOW completely. You don't want to be a part of it, and well, I don't know. It depends, right? Depends. I mean, it's subjective.
No, you have to
but
leave it.
The point is the cock carousel. You have to leave it. But what I'm saying is that the cock carousel is false. Very few women are actually engaging in sex, and Vaknin's already stated that how few women are actually having sex in the West. We know it.
Regardless
You know
of
it. I've said it.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't. We don't care how much women are having sex. That doesn't matter to us. Okay,
Women are withholding sex, thinking that they're gonna find the Disney movie that they were taught from K through 12 through Disney. You know, again Disney. You know, the music videos, things like this. They're gonna get a guy with a yacht who doesn't work, who's like a trust fund baby, and she'll never have to lift a finger for the rest of her life. That's what she's holding out for. That's what she thinks she's gonna get, and she will hold out till she's 60 years old, still thinking that white knight's gonna fall from the sky and give it to her.
Yeah, and we know that. We understand that. We absolutely understand that. But look, we should not care about what women want. We don't care about that.
It's about what you want, because
Well,
you're the narcissist.
No, look, it's not about what I want. The point is understanding what women want in this day and age. We know what they want. We know who they are.
They want you to shit Tiffany diamonds.
Yes. Now, if you understand that, then you go your own way. At that point, you say, you know what? I'm going to improve myself. And that's the whole point of going your own way, improving yourself. Women are not a part of your self-improvement. The only thing that is a part of your self-improvement is your maker. The one that made you.
Well, who made you as a fish, according to Darwinism?
Yeah, well, fuck Darwinism. You were made. And you have a direct link to your maker. And there's no...
Overall, I thought the videos were quite insightful. I enjoyed doing this. I hope we do something like this again. Like I said, I really am a huge Sam Vaknin fan. I've been following him for about almost a decade now. His writings are fantastic. A lot of my MGTOW content and things that I bring to the table are derived from a lot of Sam's work. And some of the things that he stated were correct, and unfortunately, he contradicted himself quite often. But he gives you a snippet. He didn't go too much into detail on some of the things that we went into tonight, especially with the social engineering part. His take on homosexuality is quite accurate, also. So, it was fun. I really enjoyed doing this Vaknin series.
No, Vaknin is right on with a lot of stuff. But I have to say that he's very anti-creation. Like
Yes.
He's
Anti-male.
he's anti-male. And when I say
Which is
anti-creation, is anti-male.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
creation.
Where
is
are we
male.
at with time?
Nah, we can go. We'll leave right now. It's okay. Bro,
Unless you want to do, if you want to get into the thoughts.
with thoughts.
The IRS thought.
Who's still watching? Alvaro de Bazin, female fragility was nature's way of countering the male libido. Greg Q, women were once validated for uploading the moral code. Today they are violated and behave immorally and depend to be treated
Absolutely.
wrong. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well stated. Women used to be the authority as far as morals go.
Yeah.
They really were. You're a disgusting pig. How can you do that? Women's scorn used to be something to fear. Now, men, to be honest with you, men don't fear it anymore. They don't feel a woman's scorn because it's belligerent, it's stupid, it comes in a form of a selfie stick.
How can you feel the scorn of a woman who sells her pussy online and doesn't pay taxes? Seriously, man. Like,
You want to know a great story about women's scorn? So I went to the dog park. My friend had a dog, and he had his little nephew, and I had my little brother, and they're both 7 and 8 years old, and to this beach head. And again, there's all dogs running around. So me and my friend we're sitting on the beach. We're just fucking bullshitting and drinking coffee while my little brother and my friend's little nephew are running. Hey, listen, you guys got to take off your shoes before you play on the beach, right? Here comes this white woman with 2 biracial children, and she starts yelling at my friend's nephew about them not having shoes on. That's disgusting. There's dogs on the beach. How can you do this? And I hear this woman yelling at my little brother, and my little brother's never had a stranger reprimand him ever in his life. Right, and I knew this was going down because I know the situation, what's happening, and I go over to her, and she's got two little black kids, and I go, "Are those your kids?" She goes, "Yeah, they are." I go, "Do they know who the father is?" And I just walked away. Oh my God. I go, come here, my little. I pretended like he's my son. I go, "Come here. You stay away from this bad lady. Come on, stay away from her. You go have fun, run along on the beach and be a kid. Don't listen to her."
Yeah. No, it's.
Who the fuck are you?
Well, what she is she's
She's a thought.
she's the normal. Yeah, exactly. She's a thought. She's the normal. She's the people that we're trying to get told about for.
Well, obviously, the father of those 2 children is a guy who paid a lot of money on the Snapchat to see her tits.
Well, she also has to pay for taxes. I mean, that's the whole point. We want her to pay her taxes. That's the
She's
whole
got to pay her
fucking
fair
point.
share.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Make them pay their taxes. I will put in the comment section below in the video. I'll put the taxes. I'll put the link. I sent you the link earlier. So if you want to make a whole pay taxes, here's the link.
Well, that whole thing, I really hope that's real. I really do hope it's catching. I hope it's spreading like the California wild.
I got the link. You guys have to remember. Yeah, I'm here.
Go, bro.
I'm here.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So I wonder how much that's really
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, man?
I don't know where he went.
I'm here.
Well, Roosh is now getting into our discuss on this year. And it's great. I think it's still a good thing. I think it's great how more and more guys are learning about these topics.
Yeah. It's more
Because
than it's more than men
more
and
and more
women.
people are questioning the society around, more questioning what is actually going on. Okay, and the more people leave their bubbles in the suburbs or in the mega cities, the metropolises, and see what it's like in other countries and other cultures, they start to wonder what the fuck is going on within their own bubble.
Yeah.
Places.
Well, that's why I like the fact that we can introduce people into different countries and their bubbles.
Yes, absolutely. Before I left New York to live in Cambodia, my mother said, "You got to get out of New York. You got to get out of New York. You got to see what it's like outside of this area. Outside of New York, it's much more different." And when I left New York and I met people from Europe, I realized that the Europeans are somewhat facing the same issues we are in North America. My friends from France, my friends from Germany, my friends from England and Australia all stated the same things. What's happening there is happening in North America. Meanwhile, Eastern Europe, Africa, Asia, it's not really happening. It's in its infancy stages. It's small. It's happening, but not on the scale that it is in the West.
Yes. And now everybody in America is scared of what's happening to them.
Well, women aren't. Men are. I don't think I wouldn't call myself afraid. I'm more afraid about. Look, because I'm in real estate, I look at things at that level. I look at what's happening in real estate, and it's very important because what happens in real estate is where you're standing on. Real estate is what you're living on. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the ground. Okay, and in order, you have to have a place to live, and what's happening to your homes, what's happening to your counties, your towns, your cities. That is really super important, and that's a ground. That's a foundational level at where I look at things. Now they're talking about the Amazon to New York. people are freaking out, man, freaking out where I live about this because they know if Amazon gets a foothold in this on the East Coast, what's happening in California is going to wind up happening over here on the East.
That's why you can't hear his voice.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
It's too important. Hello?
All right. Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
You're cutting out.
Testing 1 2.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Did you catch what I said?
No.
No?
No.
I'm losing you? Yeah, hold on.
You're good now.
How about now? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, we can end it there.
All right. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Pleasure.
And
That was fun.
yeah, it was good, and we'll talk to you guys later. The end times always come. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Take care. We'll be back again, obviously, all the time. Take care of yourselves. Peace. Be wise.
Good night.
Be MGTOW.
Stay. Yeah.